Well, I'm really happy to be here with Adam Avin, who I've known for at least 10 years, I think, when he was um, a young teenager, just doing remarkable work with mindfulness and mindfulness training for other adolescents. You can just imagine how kind of precocious and wonderful that is. Uh, Adam created the Shanti Children's Wellness Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization to teach mindfulness and social emotional learning to kids and teens. Adam is certified in mindfulness based stress reduction for teens, kidding around yoga, and the emotion code. He gave a TEDx youth talk and was the keynote speaker for the Broward Mental Health Summit. Adam currently is a Posse Scholar attending Syracuse University, class of 2026. He is majoring in broadcast and digital journalism and minoring in both sports management and mindfulness and contemplative studies. So if you want to hire somebody who's truly awesome, put Adam on your wish list. Since Adam's practices are geared toward kids and teens, they are shorter than many typical experiential practices, and he'll be leading us through two of these in this program here. Um, I'd like to mention as well that Adam's got a book coming out, a great book. It's called Stress Less, and it features a foreword by Udonis Haslem, three-time NBA champion with the Miami Heat, founder of the Udonis Haslem Foundation, and advocate for mental health in underserved communities, a passion that stems from his own experiences. The book itself, I've endorsed it thoroughly. It's full of fantastic practical in tools and tips, background, scientifically grounded information, and running through it all is Adam's own, huge heart and willingness to and deep commitment, really, to helping people. So, Adam, I've thought you were awesome from the first time I heard about you. I'll try not to make you squirm too much with my appreciation of you, but it's truly from my heart, and I'm so glad you're here with us. So, thank you.
I appreciate you so much for all the support
Yeah.
that you've given to me and to Shanti over the years. And now with the book coming out, you're quoted in it, obviously. So
Yeah.
many amazing people are quoted in it, but you, Dr. Hanson, are as well. And, there's so much great insight in the book and knowledge that, I've learned from people like you in the mindfulness, mental health field over the years. And I'm excited to share that with everybody. So thank you for highlighting that again.
Oh, that's great. Maybe I'll ask you a couple of personal questions if we could for starting. So,
Sure.
uh, the number of you were a fairly young teenager when you got interested in mindfulness, and the number of young teenagers interested in mindfulness is a fairly small fraction of the population.
Right.
What got you interested in mindfulness?
Yeah, so it really started when I was really young. Probably didn't even know what mindfulness was,
Hmm.
but my great grandpa Jack, who was a big part of my life when I was younger, um, he was a very mindful person, and is really the whole reason why we started with Shanti in the first place. He was kind of like a yogi off the mat, had very mindful sayings and mantras like "think well to be well" and "smile and the world will smile with you."
Uh-huh.
And those kind of became the mantras for Wolf Shanti. And when we started, when I was around 9 or 10 years old,
Wow.
so it's been quite a while now. I'm 19 now,
Yeah.
and I'm in college. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But we used those mantras that came from my grandpa Jack, and we started doing a lot with younger kids about doing yoga and different meditation practices, um, trying to teach kids when they're young to grow up to be more peaceful, happy, loving adults. When I got older and I started to kind of see the anxiety and the stress amongst my peers in middle school and in high school, that was really when I decided like I want to do something to help teenagers as well because I see the stress that is happening in our lives. We all deal with things on a daily basis. How do we cope with them? And that's when I started getting into mindfulness and social emotional learning, and that's when with Shanti kind of switched to just yoga and meditation, doing things for younger kids, with the dog costume and stuff like that, to real like, okay, I'm gonna go around and speak to my peers, to teenagers, try and get a mindfulness or mental health curriculum into schools,
Mm.
and that really became a main goal. And so, you know, when I was in middle school and high school, and we were doing the Mindful Kids Peace Summit, which was an online kind of video curriculum that we were trying
Hmm.
to get into schools, where myself and Helen Maffini, who we started the Mindful Kids Peace Summit with, we went and interviewed, you know, hundreds of people, mindfulness practitioners, doctors, psychologists, and gained so much knowledge in those conversations. Like my vocabulary just completely, you know,
Mm.
took a big leap, and I
Yeah.
learned so much more. And when we were sitting, you know, at home during COVID, when everyone was in their houses, it really became a thing of like, I don't want all these videos to just sit here and not be watched, or not
Mm.
get people to take things away from these, you know, super knowledgeable individuals. And
Right.
so what were we going to do with that? Well, my mom and I started organizing all the quotes, all the interviews, laying them all out, and now it's all there in a book with different practices and journal prompts that
Mm.
people can use on a daily basis,
That's great.
and take with them every day. So that's pretty much the whole journey. So I got into it at a young age, inspired by
Mm.
my relatives, and
Hmm.
now we're at this place where we are today. It's amazing.
What's the subtitle of the book?
It's called Stress Less Mindfulness for Teens, because it was geared towards teens. I am a
Yeah.
teenager. But that's not to say that anyone can't pick up the book and learn something. You know, my grandpa always said that, you know,
Mm.
as old as he got, he learned something new every single day.
Yeah.
So
Lem-
if a parent picks up this book for their kid and decides
yeah.
to take a peek at it, hopefully they've learned something too. So it's for everybody, but it's called Stress Less Mindfulness for Teens.
So let me just throw kind of an oddball question at you. So now I'm a teenager. I'm 14, 15 years old. I have a lot of memory of that time. And I might say to you, I don't know, man, this just seems like so strange, or I don't know, new age or weird or bougie or something, like what am I going to get out of this book? Why would it help me, a teenager? I'm stressed. I live my life. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Who are you
Well,
to tell me what to do?
yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is that, you know, sometimes you don't even really know when you're stressed.
Yeah.
You know, kids especially, you know, I was like this, you know, you just kind of run through every day, you know, not really stopping and checking in with how you're feeling.
Mm.
Um, and so I hope that this book just kind of lets kids into the mind of a teenager who's gotten to learn how to kind of check in with himself,
Mm.
and deal with stuff on a daily basis. There are personal stories in the book about experiences that I've had, experiences from different friends and people that I've met who've allowed me to
Mm.
use their stories in the book. Names changed, obviously,
Mm.
you know, confidentiality. But you know, there's things in the book about real people who've experienced
But I mean,
real
separate from the
emotions.
book,
Right.
why would a teenager care about mindfulness?
Well, again, I think they should care about it because you want to live a happy, healthy, stress-free as much as possible life.
Mm.
Um, you know, I think a lot of the time we focus on the super happy. I got to be 100% happy, or I can't be sad. I can't be upset. You know, my grandpa was a big proponent of getting to neutral and finding balance
Mm.
in life. When he was dealing with his battle with cancer, I remember sitting down and talking to him, and said, how can you, you know, how can you still be so happy, you know, when you're
Mm.
going through all this? And he said, if I'm being honest, I'm not happy about it, but I also know that I want to enjoy the time that I have right now. I want to enjoy it with
Mm.
you, and I can't be sad about it either. So I want to try and get to a neutral place. And so I think mindfulness really helps you find balance, just checking in with yourself and understanding the emotions that you're having,
Mm.
and obviously learning some tips and practices to help you
Yeah.
cope with those emotions on a daily basis. So mindfulness is super important, and you know, people can practice mindfulness however they like. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about it is, you know, you got to sit down with your legs crossed, you know,
Mm.
your hands on your knees, and just breathe for hours. And you know, that's not fully what it is. Being home this summer from school, where I was alone by myself for the first time, super stressed out, having this whole new life, right? And I come home, and all I wanted to do every day is go out on the golf course and put in headphones and listen to music, and that is my peace. That to me is as mindful as I can get, right? And I think anyone, as long as they understand, find what is comfortable for you,
Yeah.
find ways for you to check in with yourself.
Which for most people will not be playing golf,
Yeah, yeah.
just factually. Yeah.
I've been playing it my whole life. I
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
still get frustrated.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like a, it is sort of a relief for me.
That's
It's
great.
just something that I do to make me feel, that makes me happy and
Yeah.
healthy and comfortable. And I want people to find what they enjoy and what helps them cope with their emotions on a daily basis. And
Yeah.
for someone, it might be a sort of meditation practice every day. For other
No, that's
people,
great.
it might be taking a walk outside or listening to music. But, I do
The
think
point is
mindfulness important.
to be mindful in it.
So hopefully
In the midst of
to understand.
cancer or the midst of playing golf or,
Right.
being a
Anything.
freshman college student, just in the
Right.
midst of anything, recollectedness, present moment awareness,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. Well, how about you make it real for us experientially? And I'll do it with you,
Sure.
as a kind of a guinea pig.
Yeah.
So you're going to lead us through a couple of practices, right?
Sure. Yeah. So came up with two practices that I think teenagers really enjoy. They're a little bit shorter because even as a teen myself, I don't know if I fully even have the attention span to go on for 30 minutes. But
Yeah.
I do think it is really important. When I was up at school, I was doing a program with a group of different scholars, posse scholars, a program that I'm in at school. It's a lot of leadership and diversity. It's a leadership and diversity group. And one night we were holding a bunch of activities and stuff, and the whole group was together. And we did a talent show. And these two kids go up to the front of the room, and they say, hey, our talent is we're going to play a video on the screen, and we want everyone to follow along. We're like, oh, what is it? And I did not talk about anything about with Shanti or mindfulness or anything. They put a meditation on the screen, just a breathing exercise. Told everyone to sit down, close your eyes, feel comfortable, and do some deep breathing. And it was so peaceful, and everyone really enjoyed it. And I was really surprised by that. And I think that'd be a good thing to share today. So it's also in the book. It's something that we've done with kids before here, but it is essentially a very simple breathing exercise that you can do any point of any day. Then I have another one after for you as well.
Great.
So first, obviously, we can close our eyes,
Okay.
whenever you feel ready. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, that is perfectly fine. If you do not feel comfortable, you can look down or keep your eyes open, anything like that. So we're just going to start by focusing on the present moment. And what this practice is going to be is we're going to breathe in for a count of 4. We're going to hold for a count of 4. And we're going to exhale for a count of 4. And that kind of repetition, I think, is really important because it gets you focusing on the present moment and focusing on your breath. So whenever we're ready, we're just going to do this first one together. We're going to breathe in. 2, 3, 4. We're going to hold. 2, 3, 4. We're going to exhale. 2, 3, 4. And at this point, I always say for people to kind of check in with how they're feeling. It's the first breath. How does your body feel? How does your mind feel? And then this next 4 count that we're going to do. I want you to kind of picture yourself breathing in clean, fresh, healthy oxygen, letting that feeling into your body. And when we're breathing out, breathe out stale carbon dioxide. Let that disgusting feeling exit your body. So we're going to breathe in. 2, 3, 4. All that fresh oxygen. We're going to hold. 2, 3, 4. Now exhale. 2, 3, 4. I always love this exercise because it really, really helps me calm down. I'm going to take a minute just to sit with this. On this next 4 count, I want to breathe in peace, love, kindness. Help us feel happy and healthy. And I want to exhale all your worries and negative thoughts. Get rid of those negative thoughts. Just be happy in this present moment. So whenever we're ready, we're going to inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold peace, love, kindness. We're going to exhale all those worries. I'll let it out. On this last one, we're going to breathe in again peace, love, and kindness. And we're going to hold, and we're going to exhale peace, love, and kindness back to the universe for everyone to feel this good feeling that we're feeling right now. So whenever we're ready, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hold, and we're going to exhale. 2, 3, 4. And we always tell everybody at the end of the practice to check in with yourself and notice how you're feeling, like we've done throughout the practice. And also be thankful and give gratitude for the time we just took to do it. And let's take one last deep breath. And we can open our eyes whenever we're ready. So, it's the first one. And it definitely calms me down. I love that practice. It's a good breathing exercise. What do we think?
That's really nice. And, neurologically, you may know this, I'll just say it for people in general, that when we sustain a long exhalation, and I wonder about holding the breath during that period of time, but definitely during exhalation, we start to draw upon the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system, which is the balance to the sympathetic branch of the nervous system. Parasympathetic is calming and centering. Sympathetic is arousing, energizing, and sometimes gets caught up in fighting and fleeing. Parasympathetic, soothing, resting, digesting. And so just that alone is starting to engage those mechanisms in our body, in our brain, right there. That's cool. I kind of wondered, what do you say to people who say, honestly, especially during a fairly brief meditation, I just cannot get in touch with peacefulness or love, right? Or happiness. I just don't get in touch with it. I can do the breathing, but I just can't feel anything emotional during it. What do you say to them?
Well, I think that there are definitely, if there are some other words or affirmations that are more comfortable to you, that make you feel something when you're doing a practice like that, then I think you should definitely take the time to figure out what it is. Something else we talk about in the book is positive affirmations. And, I know celebrities and things have talked about when you walk into their bathroom, they have sticky notes all over the wall with things saying like, I'm going to be the biggest entertainer in the world. I'm going to do this today. I'm going to be strong. I love myself. Things like that. Things that when you look at and when you read and when you say them out loud, they make you believe that you are going to do exactly whatever that sticky note says. And I think it's the same thing with a practice like we just did. If something you're saying you don't believe or it makes you feel uncomfortable, then find what it is that makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's great.
That you want to believe. There is definitely something out there for you. And if it's not the meditation practice altogether, then that's fine. Find something else, and I'm sure that there's something out there for you.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, I'm ready for the next one.
All right. So, as a kid myself who has gone through school recently, still is in school, but I'm talking about middle school and high school, and even younger, I always was a very visual kid. And seeing whatever I was doing or working on was always really important to me. And I had trouble just listening. And so that's why obviously mindfulness is really important in helping me kind of lock in and be in the present moment. But I still find seeing stuff and visualizing it really important in certain mindfulness practices, especially if you're going through a lot of different emotions, because you can see how you're feeling. So this practice, we call it the movie theater practice. So I'm good whenever you're ready, and I'll kind of explain it as we go through it. Okay, so again, if you want to close your eyes before you begin. You may do so. You can
Okay.
look down, whatever you feel comfortable with. I will do the same right now. And so we start by taking one deep breath in, just getting with ourselves in this peaceful moment. I want you to think of a happy place. It can be literally anything. It could be your bedroom, it could be the beach, an open field, the mountains. And I want you to sit in this happy place and take a look around. And out in wherever you are, I want you to look ahead. There's going to be a big movie screen. Big movie screen, just a blank screen right now. I know you're probably wondering why it's there and what we're doing with it. But I want to look ahead at that movie screen, and suddenly, on that movie screen, everything that you're worrying about, that you're stressed about, things that you might be upset or sad or angry at, are all suddenly appearing on this screen. It could be something that you worry about on a daily basis, something that you're just thinking about right now, but all these negative thoughts are appearing on the screen. And I want you to sit with that for a second. And I want you to notice how all these negative thoughts and these worries are making you feel. Now, if you're wondering why we're putting all these negative thoughts on the screen, it's because it's important to check in with that side of ourselves too. We do that so that we can release those negative thoughts. So as you're seeing all of these worries, these negative thoughts, these bad things on the screen, how are you feeling? Is your body getting tense or your muscles getting tense? Is your breathing becoming faster or slower? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Take a second. Now, look at the screen as you see all of those things that are up there right now that are making you feel bad. Just start to wash away. They're floating away until the screen is left there empty, clean, blank. How is this making you feel? Right now, we're feeling balanced. Look at this empty screen. Try to keep those negative thoughts away. And if something comes through, then that's perfectly fine. If you see one of those old worries popping up on the screen, just notice it without judgment and release it. Let it pass on by. Take a second. Notice how you're feeling. Now, while we're in our happy place, we want to see some happy things too. So take a look back at that movie screen and watch as all the things you love, you enjoy, things that make you happy, are starting to appear on that movie screen. It could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be one of your favorite possessions, another one of your favorite places, an activity that you love to do. The screen is all filled up. Now, how is this making you feel? Do you feel safe, at peace? Are you now filled with love and gratitude? And remember, while we're sitting here in our happy place, looking at all the things that make us happy on this screen, that this is a place that you can return to at any point of any day. You can always come back here. Now, as this practice comes to an end, let's be thankful for all of the amazing things that we have in our life, all the things that are on the screen. And before we end here, let's take one big, deep breath together. Notice how you're feeling, and you can open your eyes whenever you're ready. So, that was the movie theater practice, and that's one that I think teenagers and kids genuinely really enjoy, and I enjoy it too, and that's why I picked that one to share with you today.
That's really cool. So I went to Tuolumne Meadows in Yosemite National Park, one of my favorite places, and I visualized the movie screen there, and I liked how you had people put up on the screen at some distance from themselves in a safe and comfortable place things that are bothering them, and then they were acknowledged, but they could be acknowledged mindfully, as you know, that sense of spaciousness around whatever we're experiencing. It's one of the hallmarks of mindfulness. It's there. We're not suppressing anything. We're not trying to avoid it. We're being with it. We're allowing it. We're accepting it, but with some sense of disidentification from it,
Right.
right? Some spaciousness around it, as you well know. And so that screen did that. And then to allow that quote unquote negative material to just kind of flow, and okay, fine. What else is true? Well, it's also true. Whatever's true about the negative, fine. Meanwhile, what else is true? And there's some positive stuff. And to be able to hang out with the positive stuff and stay with it and enjoy it and be with it. Lovely, lovely structure there
Thank you.
in what you're doing. Um,
Self-care is super important, and I feel like
yeah.
sometimes it's hard to take care of ourselves and be
Mm.
self-aware when we don't notice some of the bad stuff too. So,
Yeah. And I think when I think about myself as an adolescent, I was just awash in unhappiness. It was kind of like that was my world. And I got some respite from it thinking about the future and reading books like science fiction, kind of an orderly world where you could rescue the space station if you could just figure things out. So that appealed to me, right? Um, but otherwise, kind of swallowed up by it all. And to think that there could be other things on the screen and that we can dwell in them and take them to heart is a really great thing, actually,
yeah,
for anybody, including
sure.
for a teenager.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I think, again, there are so many different practices that people enjoy. There are plenty of other different visualization practices as well, if
Hmm.
this is something that you like, so you can actually see, and understand how you're feeling, because sometimes for people it is
Yeah.
difficult to just hear or even just think up things within your own imagination, because there are so many different thoughts coming in and out of your head. I think in the book that we wrote that there's about 50,000 random thoughts come through your head a day,
Mm.
and different negative thoughts in that loop as well. So if you can cut down on 50,000 on day
Mm.
one to 49,999 on day two, that's progress.
Yeah.
So it's all about repetition. One of my closest friends loves to go to the gym, and he loves to work out. And he says to me, Adam, if you come to the gym, if you start going to the gym every day, it's not going to feel like a chore. It's going to be fun. It's going to be
Mm.
something you enjoy. And as much as I probably should go to the gym, I do think it's the same thing for mindfulness practices. If you sit down and you practice and you do it every day, and you find that thing that you enjoy to do that makes you feel better and that makes you be at peace with yourself and makes you feel happy, it's not going to feel like a chore. It's not going to feel like work. It's not going to
Hmm.
feel like you're working on yourself. It's going to feel like you're doing this to check in with yourself and you know live life in the present moment.
Yeah. Let's suppose that somebody listening now um, is living like many, many people in the world, the great majority of people in the world. They're living a life that's very different from the life you live and the life I live. They're maybe struggling with poverty. They're in a developing country. They're, let's say, they don't have a lot of educational or economic occupational opportunities. You know, they're dealing with a lot of stuff.
Right.
15-year-old, maybe they're the head of their family at 15 or something.
Right.
Like, wow. Um, respecting what we don't know from our own direct experience and being kind of humble about it. Uh, what's your view about the universality of mindfulness? In other words, the ways in which slowing it down, being present with what's really true for you in the moment without being overwhelmed by it, and then over time gently nudging what you're focusing on toward things that are actually helpful and wholesome to you, which I think of as sort of the universal opportunities for us all with the one human brain that we all share. That said, what's your own view about how useful these approaches are for young people dealing with really tough things, you know, that you and I don't have to deal with?
Right. I think one of the biggest things with mindfulness is um, it's empathy. It's putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Um, that comes from communication and compassion, understanding how someone else is feeling. Um, and when I say, check in with ourselves when we're doing a mindfulness practice, yes, it's understanding how we're feeling, but also everything that's going on around us. Um, and I, you know, truly believe that if people start to understand and are aware of how they're feeling and how other people are feeling, the world would be a much happier, better place. And it's easier said than done. But I do think there's some truth to it. I was in school one day. I think I was in 11th grade, and um, I was in a class I didn't like very much, and it recently had become a requirement in my county, in Broward County, here in South Florida, that schools were required to include 5 hours of mental health practices for the year. Like, that's not a lot. And we're sitting in class one day, and one of the teachers said, yeah, so today we were supposed to put on a mindfulness video so you guys can do a meditation before we start, but this is an AP class and we don't have time for that stuff, so we're going to skip that and move on. And I was like, what?
Hmm.
I was like, come on, the little bit of mental health education that's actually going to be included
Hmm.
here, we're taking away.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, if I'm going around and speaking to teens and my peers who are paying attention and enjoy this stuff and are actually learning, if we're walking into the classroom ready to do a mindfulness practice and the professor or the teacher is the one saying, no, we're not doing that, or I don't care, how are we going to be able to cope with our emotions or de-stress if the people around us aren't? So I do
Hmm.
think it's a collective effort of everyone having to, you know, focus on how they're feeling and learning things every day. I mean, it's like I said, it's about repetition, it's about practice. Mindfulness and someone's mental health is important. You know, the statistics show that mental health is the number one thing that teenagers face.
Yeah. Mental
And
health issues, including that culminate sometimes in suicide. I mean, it's
right,
terrible. Yeah.
suicide is the second leading cause of death amongst teenagers.
Hmm.
Um, so I just think that if everyone understood,
Yeah.
adults down to young adults,
Hmm.
understood how important learning about their emotions was and understanding how themselves and other people are feeling, I think the world would be such a better place.
Yeah.
And
No matter
and
where you live or what you're
right.
dealing with,
And
that's a
educate
universal
and
thing.
mental health
Yeah.
education is in a lot of places all over the world, and not here in the U.S. in some
Hmm.
parts. I mean,
Yeah.
not to get too political, but
Hmm.
Florida just banned AP psychology from
Yeah.
schools. That was one of my favorite classes, and I learned so much on top of all the extra knowledge about psychology and about mindfulness and mental health that I do
Yeah.
through with Shanti. And
Yeah.
now other kids who aren't doing the same stuff as me aren't going to be able to learn some really important things about life and about mental health and about the human body. Um, and I think things like that are also really important. So it's
Yeah.
making sure that mental health education is in schools, making sure that people that are in different situations still understand um, and get help
Yeah.
to live the life that they deserve
That's great.
happily.
Really great. Well, maybe as we kind of move to a finish here, I'll ask you one last question. Uh, so I want you to imagine in your movie screen, okay, that we're 10 years in the future. You're 29. Holy moly,
Yeah, right.
29. And the world, imagine that the world has become more compassionate.
Mhm.
Imagine that more and more people worldwide have an appreciation for the inner life of themselves and other people and the difficulties there. You know, the ordinary anxieties and fears and angers, as well as, you know, traumatic conditions or just
Right.
dealing with um, preventable forms of suffering, you know, based on injustice. So now, 10 years in the future, you're traveling the world and it's a more compassionate world. What's one or two things, kind of briefly here, that you would hope to see?
Mm. That's a great question. You know, I think, well, first off the bat is, you know, with compassion and and empathy, talking about feelings, communication is so important. And, um, you know, obviously we're in such a different time now with phones. And I can't even imagine what 10 years in the future technology is going to be like and social media is going to be like. But, you know, when I was a kid, you know, technology wasn't the same as it is now. And now you're seeing a 2-year-old that can work an iPad. And so communication skills and building those relationships, the style of which you do it has changed. And I think that if the world is going to get to that place, hopefully 10 years from now, then or sooner, that that people learn to build those relationships and communicate better, not just over the phone or hide behind a screen. You know, social media and being on the phone, as connected as we are, because I mean, you can talk to people across the world now with ease. Um, you know, there are a lot of harms to social media and being online so much, and I might even be a hypocrite saying that because of how much I'm on my phone, um, but I do recognize it, and I do know that I do try and make a conscious effort to communicate better in person, and keep those relationships physical as opposed to just through the phone. Um, the other thing would be to continue to respect each other, I think,
Mm,
and give gratitude because so much stuff, crazy things happen every day, and I feel like it's very easy to say thank you and respect people for who they are, the choices they make, um, just because you disagree with something that someone says that might be very small. You know, I think right now because of social media and the ability to hide behind a screen, um, there's a lot of attacking,
mm,
and I feel like respecting each other should be so much easier.
yeah.
Um, and you know, every day I work at I work at a local golf course nearby, and I'm a coach for young kids who are learning to play, and we take them out on the course and we have groups of them, and sometimes I'm like, you know, someone says something or they're talking back and forth, and I have to be like, guys, like like that's not how we talk to each other,
Yeah.
and now I know, you know, as old as I am, like what my parents were telling how they were telling me to treat people,
Hmm.
Golden rule: treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
So we got to continue to build those relationships and do it respectfully. And if we
Beautiful.
can do both of those things while incorporating, you know, mindfulness and mental health practices, social emotional learning into our daily lives, hopefully we do get to that place. And I hope
Hmm.
that we're all here to see that.
Ah, well, I certainly hope to be here when you're 29, and I hope that you're here when you're 29 and 89. Uh, so it's been a real pleasure to talk with you, Adam, and just deep bow of respect for you and the work you've done. It's really rippling out into the world, helping a lot of people. And I know you're in the early stages of a long trajectory, and I really wish you well. I don't know if becoming a golf pro is in your trajectory. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, but I'm sure you're going to continue to be a teacher for many,
Thank you.
many people. So
Thank you. I
thank you.
appreciate that. And I want to, again, say thank you for all your support that you've given to me and our nonprofit over the years. And again, last plug for the book. I hope everyone reads it and enjoys it. And if there are any teens out there listening, know that you're not alone, and that you're gonna find the thing that's gonna help you live a happy, healthy life as well.
That's great. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.